Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. UFC 265 is only a couple weeks away on August 7th, and I wanted to give my reaction to the fight card. I think this is a very high-quality fight card. I'm a little disappointed in the main event, and I'll give my reasons for that in a minute, but I just want to give my reaction to the card. The main event is Derrick Lewis versus Ciryl Gane, and this is a fight on its face I absolutely love. The stylistic matchup is so intriguing. You have Derrick Lewis, who just defies all MMA logic. He's a guy that goes out there. He'll be losing a fight up until he's winning, and we've seen it against Curtis Blades. We've seen it against Alexander Volkov. Derrick Lewis has nuclear power in both his hands. He's deceptively fast, and he has power in his kicks as well. And this is a guy that, even though his stamina isn't as good as it probably should be, he's never out of the fight. You can never count Derrick Lewis out. Even when he's exhausted, breathing heavily in the fourth, fifth round, he still has power in his hands. Now, he's fighting Ciryl Gane, who's a guy who's, I think, 6-0 in the UFC. And he's a guy coming off an impressive win against Alexander Volkov, a quick turnaround to fight Derrick Lewis. Before that, he outpointed Jairzinho Rozenstruik. And Ciryl Gane is just such a well-rounded fighter. I know a lot of people have complaints about him, sticking on the outside and outpointing guys. But, in the heavyweight division, there's absolute killers. Jairzinho Rozenstruik has nasty knockouts. You have to be careful in those types of fights. But I want to see more of a killer instinct from Ciryl Gane. I hope we see it in this fight. But I just think it's such an interesting matchup. Now, as far as my complaint for this fight, I'm just disappointed because I would like to see both these guys fight Francis Ngannou in the near future. And now we kind of have one of them getting knocked off by the other. If Ciryl Gane wins, then we don't get to see the Derrick Lewis Ngannou rematch, the much anticipated after that barn burner of a first fight. And then if Derrick Lewis wins, we don't get to see Ciryl Gane versus Francis Ngannou. So we kind of lose matchups for the champion. And especially in such a shallow heavyweight division, it kind of sucks. And then on top of that, I don't think it necessarily really hurts anyone, but I think it's so stupid that they're putting the interim title on the line. It's literally just a promotional tool at this point. I know they say that about the real belt, but it means nothing. It's essentially a number one contender belt. The UFC needed somebody on that date. They wanted a title in the headliner, so they just threw an interim belt on the line, even though Francis Ngannou just won his belt in March. Meanwhile, you have guys that have sat out for a year and a half, 2 years, and they haven't stripped them or made an interim belt. We've seen it with Conor. We've seen it with Cain Velasquez in the past, and I just don't get it. Even Stipe Miocic was only fighting once a year for whatever reason. I don't remember the exact reasons, but for the last 3 years, he fought once a year. They never made an interim belt then, and the depth of the division shown that you don't need an interim belt at heavyweight. The division is not log jammed by any means. So I think it was kind of pointless. They're just using that to sell tickets. But overall, I love the stylistic matchup, and I can't wait to see how it plays out. When it gets closer to the fight, I'll be giving my breakdown and predictions for all these fights. So make sure you guys subscribe and turn on notifications. You guys can check that out when I put it out. The co-main event is Amanda Nunes versus Julianna Pena for the women's bantamweight title. Now, this is a fight that I'm not crazy excited for, but at least I feel like Julianna Pena can offer some more resistance to Nunes than some of her past couple opponents. And I'm interested to see this fight. A lot of people think the path to beat Amanda Nunes is to take her down and hold her down, and we'll see that in this fight. Can Julianna Pena take her down and hold her down and avoid a submission? Nunes is just so good on the feet. I don't see any woman at bantamweight or featherweight striking with her unless Valentina makes her way back up to 135. So it'll be an interesting fight. I hope after the next two fights for these girls, Amanda Nunes versus Julianna Pena and Shevchenko versus Laura Murphy, I hope we see them matched back up for a third time because I think that is the women's trilogy we absolutely need. Both of their first fights were super close. And I'm just tired of seeing them run over other girls. Shevchenko and Nunes are light years ahead of these other girls. And I just want to see them match back up. I get that Shevchenko now is at 125 and Nunes is at 135 and 145. But I just need to see these two girls match back up. So that's probably the fight that I'm least excited for on the card. But it's still a quality fight. And I think Julianna Pena has a chance. I don't think it's significant. But it's not, the same way you can write off Lauren Murphy against Valentina Shevchenko. So moving down the card, you have an amazing bantamweight fight. Jose Aldo versus Pedro Munhoz. And I absolutely love this fight. Jose Aldo has looked spectacular at bantamweight. Pedro Munhoz, I almost called him Mark Munhoz. Pedro Munhoz has looked great at bantamweight as well. He has an iron chin. We've seen what happened in the Cody Garbrandt fight. Pedro Munhoz is an action fighter, and so is Jose Aldo. And I know Jose Aldo got a lot of crap when he decided he was going to move down to 135. I don't think he can make it. People were talking about him moving up to 155 because he couldn't make 145. He has looked spectacular at bantamweight. He has the win, or actually, technically, he lost against Marlon Moraes, but everyone really scored it for him. He looked really good in the early rounds against Petr Yan. And I just think that Aldo has kind of reinvented himself at bantamweight. If he can get that cardio in order, I think, Aldo could be pound for pound number one. If he can get the cardio in order, I don't know who beats him. So I'm really interested in this fight. I think it'll be a back and forth crazy fight. I'm expecting this to probably be fight of the night. Pedro Munhoz just moves forward like a madman and just slings. I don't know if it was his most recent fight or not. I know he lost to Frankie Edgar, but that really wasn't a loss. Munhoz should have got the win. He should have got the decision in that fight. I don't know what happened there. Then moving down the card, you don't have the entire pay-per-view card announced yet. There's usually 5 fights on the pay-per-view main card, and right now there's only 4 listed on the UFC's website. But this welterweight fight is absolutely amazing. Michael Chiesa versus Vincente Luque. Vincente Luque coming in off of that amazing knockout of Tyron Woodley. Michael Chiesa coming in on a hot streak. He just recently defeated Neil Magny. And I can't wait to see this stylistic clash. You have Michael Chiesa, who's going to come in and try to take Vincente Luque down. You have Vincente Luque, who's going to try to stuff the takedown. Vincente Luque is super technical in the feet. And I can't wait to see how it plays out. I love, I know a lot of people complain when you have the grappler / wrestler trying to take down the elite striker, but I love those types of matchups. Vincente Luque has to keep this on the feet. I know he has good jiu-jitsu, but I'm just saying if he wants to have a high probability of winning, he wants to keep this fight on the feet. He's light years ahead of Michael Chiesa in the striking department. Chiesa is known. He just takes guys down and tries to submit them. So I'm really looking forward to this fight. I'm really looking forward to this card. And even if you look at the prelims, you have some great prelims fights too. You have Tecia Torres versus Angela Hill. You have Song Yadong versus Casey Kenny. And I think the UFC may add one more fight onto that main card. I don't know, if it'll be one of those prelims moved up and then they'll add another prelim or not. But this card is really high quality. I want to give this card a solid B. I wish it was Ngannou versus Derrick Lewis in the main event, but we don't always get what we want. At least we'll get to see Francis Ngannou fight the winner. The winner will have a meaningless belt and an interim heavyweight belt. But that's my reaction to the card. Let me know what you think. What is your favorite fight on this card? Comment it down below. Make sure to like the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.